Always ready.
Hello, 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 and welcome to Shady Talk Wednesday. How is everybody doing in this amazing heat wave? I want to say. I put a post up today, a status up today, and I said, God, whatever it is you're cooking, we are done. Serious. The heat is, oh my gosh. I've been waiting for the summer, but I'm not looking for this kind of heat unless I have my own personal pool. And unfortunately, I don't. But anyway, happy Wednesday. I am excited today because I have a special guest in the building. He don't know how special he made me feel that he came all the way to Jersey to be a part of this podcast. Give it up for the one and only
Yes.
Shawn Harvey.
That's right. Give it up. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing? We're in the porn studio right now. And I'm sorry about the heat you talked about. Yeah, you can't buy those 5,000 BTU air conditioners. You can't
No.
get those raggedy air conditioners. You need 12,000 BTUs and better, or an industrial fan. God bless you guys out there that's melting. There's a lot of people melting out there.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Listen, if you don't know, this is one of the funniest comedians that I've came across in my time of starting off with doing comedy. So I had to have him today. Let me introduce him. Shawn Harvey, the energetic and hilarious stand-up comedian who has been entertaining audience nationwide with his quick wit and clever punchline. Shawn has become a crowd favorite at major events, comedy clubs, and even on a cruise ship. Shawn has also opened for acts such as Marlon Wayans and Bill Bellamy. Shawn's comedic talent has gained him so much recognition and respect in the industry. His acts appeals to a wide range of audience with relatable topics that include marriage, reminiscing about the past, and the joy and challenges of raising children. In addition to his live performance, Shawn also hosts a popular podcast called The Shawn Harvey Morning Show, featuring the talented Wake Up team. You can find him on social media platforms where he shares his unique humor and engages with his dedicated fan base. Give it up for Shawn Harvey, y'all.
Are you talking
that.
about me?
I like that.
Is that me?
That's you.
You read it. I'm like, who is she talking about?
Oh my gosh. I am so excited that you are here, Shawn, because as you know, I'm a newbie in the comic game. So I love to interview. I love to come across comics that I feel like been in the game for so many years. I always love to come across comics that have this certain talent about themselves, this uniqueness about themselves. And when I first saw you, the way you hype the crowd and bring that old school vibe in, I'm like, oh my gosh, because I feel like every comic have its own style. So to see how you have your own style, and for me to actually be in the audience and to work with you to see how you keep that thing glowing and growing, I am just amazed. So tell me about yourself. When did you start comedy? What made you get into comedy? I know that's always the main question of everybody asking. What made you get into comedy?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for having me, and I'm super excited to be here. That's the first thing I want to say. And shout out to all your supporters and all your listeners. Now, comedy is I got. If you want to know how I got into comedy, it goes back to a school. It goes back to junior high school, high school. The barber shop. I always snapped a lot, or Jones they call it, a lot of snapping, hiking on folks. So I was funny in that sense because where I lived I'm originally from the Bronx, New York.
Oh, okay.
So in the Bronx, New York, in the hood.
Okay.
Tenement buildings.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And we had a community of folks that lived in the building, obviously, and all the kids were there. So all us kids would snap on each other in front of the building in the summertime.
Okay.
So one time this guy was joking on me because my father had bought me some Pumas,
Okay.
Clydes back in the day. And this was an insane price of $17.99. That's how much the shoes cost.
Wow.
Which equivalent today would have been like $250.
Right.
And I put a hole in them in the first week or two that I had them.
Okay.
So I went back to my father and I go, listen, I got a hole in my sneaker. And he was like, oh, for real? So he took me to Pathmarks and he got me the dollar sneakers with the Winnie the Pooh on them. So I was wearing Winnie the Poohs. So I came back to the house and then everybody's in front of the building. So all the kids are out there and I get out the car with the Winnie the Poohs and they start snapping on me.
Wow.
They was going in. Y'all was crying.
Real tears?
Yes. Listen, when children between 9 and 13 years old snap on you, it's brutal. Ran in the house crying. My mother's like, get back outside. You wearing them sneakers. And I came back outside and I started snapping back.
Right.
So I grew up in that humor, laughing, joking with each other. And then it articulated in school. I was like the lunchroom clown and always joking around.
Okay.
And then how I got into stand-up is one of my good friends who used to cut my hair when I had hair.
Okay.
My ex-wife took the afro in the divorce. She had a barber in the courtroom.
Wow, not a barber in the courtroom.
And the barber was a comedian. And he was funny. He was so funny. His name is Jigger. And and I was in the barbershop snapping. So when you're really funny, when you're in the barbershop and you're snapping on everybody.
Okay.
Because that's like the hub of funny.
Right.
Being
now,
in
when
the
you
barbershop.
say snapping, you mean cracking. Because you know, for the generation, the newer generation, we call it cracking.
Cracking.
Going in on somebody.
Okay. Cracking,
but
going
back
in.
day, it was snapping. Okay.
Right. We call it, in the Bronx, call it snapping,
Okay.
cracking, Jones, and whatever it's called now.
Okay.
And he goes, yo, why don't you try stand-up comedy? And I didn't know anything about stand-up, I'll be honest with you. Few TV specials, and I didn't know stand-up. Never had a desire to be a comedian. And he goes, come with me over to the St. Nick Pub. It was called the St. Nick Pub. It was on St. Nicholas and 147th Street. Matter of fact, it's across the street from the now Comedy in Harlem. And I said, all right, I'll go. And that first night, he was there, and I never showed up.
Now, how old were you?
I started comedy late in the game. I was about 39.
Okay.
I was in my late 30s. I was in my late 30s, which is relatively older to start doing stand-up.
You think so?
I think so.
Okay.
But, I mean, it was all good for me.
Right. Okay.
And I didn't show up, and then I went and got my hair cut again. He says, yo, man, wait, man, come back. You should have came. And then he says, come the next week.
Okay.
And then I went into the bar at the St. Nick's Pub, and that was the very first time that I did stand-up on stage in front of people. And I got on stage, and the first thing I said was, I don't know what to say. and everybody laughed.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, okay. And I said that joke. Well, I can't even remember the joke at this point. And then I came back the next week because I thought, like, I'm funny.
Okay.
And they started yelling at me in the bar. They was like, get off the stage, you know. So that's my introduction to stand-up comedy.
So what made you keep pushing forward? Because you said the first time was a hit. The second time they kind of, I guess, gave you the boo. What made you, push forward? Is it because you already feel that you're just a person that has a great sense of humor, and you knew how to take what's the word you call what was the word you called that you said Jadu that you was doing?
Snapping.
Okay. Did you feel like because you knew how to deal with people snapping or you snapping on people?
I think it had a lot to do. It was influential, so it had a lot to do with the guy that I was hanging out with. Okay, because we were like so funny together.
Right.
And he was doing stand up, a little bit of stand up, but I think he was the driving force that kept me coming back to stand up.
Okay.
And then what happened? I was doing stand up for a few, and I wasn't taking it serious.
Right.
I was just going when he was going. And I would drive him to shows because I think that's part of the process in stand-up comedy with comedians. Some comedians have cars, others don't. And if you're a new jack comedian and you want to get on stage, and if you have a car, you can utilize your car. So I was one of those comedians that utilized my car because a lot of these comedians didn't have cars. But they were working all over the place. I wasn't getting paid. So then what happened, my cousin, God bless him, he was a gospel comedy promoter at the time. And he had a show, a big show, at BB King's in Times Square. And remember, I'm new in the game. And he put me on the show. I never forget it. Rick Michaels was hosting and Tony Roberts was the closing act. And I had a few minutes on stage. And I brought a lot of people to the show. My moms, everybody came out. And when I tell you I bombed so bad on stage, I wasn't funny at all. And then Rick Michaels goes on and starts snapping on me. Remember, all my peoples is in the building. And it was very embarrassing for me. So when that happened, it was such trauma to me that I stopped doing stand-up for like 6 to 8 months. I was done because I was so embarrassed. And then the guy said, yo, man, come on, man, you got to come back out. And then I came back out to do stand-up, and I've been doing it ever since.
So do you feel like starting off with doing stand-up comedy, it is more of like a field where you have to continue to stay in it to grow? Because I know being booed or feeling like you kind of just didn't, do the thing, when you was embarrassed in front of your family, like you said, it took you 8 months to go back. To push you back, because I know as a comic, what I'm learning or what I'm seeing is every audience is different. Sometimes you could utilize some of your same material. Sometimes you got to work some other material. So how did you start with coming up with a material? Was it a write-down situation? Is it a write-down situation, or is it off the mind of just your life and things? Because with me hearing you talk about comedy, I always hear you talk about like things that it seemed like it played around your life, or it's your lifestyle or things you experienced. So how does that work for you with keeping the flow of comedy?
Well, for me, that's a good question. Well, for me, to answer that question, I have to go back to the comedians I used to run with. Back in those days. And back in those days, they did suggest to write a joke or write things down, or if you have a thought, write it down and memorize it. And if you have some kind of story you want to tell, write it down. Now, those were the comedians I used to hang out with. And then when I started hanging out with other comedians, some of them was like, nah, don't write nothing down. Just, go on stage, share the story, and we'll help you with the punchlines. So it's a different dynamic. So a group of comedians that I ran with, they were writers or write your jokes. And then other comedians were like, no, just come from the soul and figure it out. And the punchlines will come as you keep doing the joke over and over again. And then all of a sudden, the story will formulate into a joke with the punchlines and the setups. So that, and then I ran with a comedian by the name of Cool Herm, God bless him. And then Smokey Suarez. And then I went under comedian's talent, the New York Kings wing for years. And Smokey gave me the opportunity to co-host the Comedy Room, where I had the opportunity to work on the jokes. And on a high level of comedy. And that's where I learned the tags and the punches from being around the comedians that were funny. So, for me, it's like, birds of a feather flock together. So if you hang out with the funny comedians, it's going to rub off on you. And the one thing that I got out of it was the fact that you have to ask questions. I always ask questions when the comedian came off the stage. I was like, yo, how did you do that? Tell me, how did it work? And when I got off the stage, they would critique me and tell me what the do's and don'ts and what not to do. And I think that in the times of stand-up comedy now, you don't have a lot of that. A lot of the new jack comedians don't go through the normal processes to become funny. I think I'm one of the last of the generations of comedians that went through the whole toolage of learning and processing from all the other comedians that came before us, before me.
Okay. And that's what I wanted to also know too, because I do.
Listen, hold on. I can't stay too long. I got a freak off to go to. Okay, and our freak off, we got olive oil. So please, if we can continue. Go ahead.
Okay. Just give me.
Got a freak off to go to, please? Thank you.
You ain't got nothing to do with the Puff Daddy case, right?
Not at all. Free Harvey, though.
Okay.
Free Harvey.
So, before you run out here to get to your adventure that you need to do.
Yeah, we got olive oil.
Because
Hold on. My wife's texting me now. It's taking so long.
Oh,
Okay,
gosh. I got a T-shirt for your wife, too.
Thank you.
Shout out to your wife.
Appreciate that.
I love how you always bring, like, little humor around being married. You got this ex-boyfriend joke that I think is so funny how that, you know what, that was really one of your punchline jokes that really had me cracking up and remembering you. Besides, what I love is that you always come out with a vibe. Yeah. Now, how do you feel? Because I do see that comics that's newer now and that's doing comedy now versus you guys before. Do you feel like it's easier now than to get a spotlight to do comedy? Because I be trying to figure out what is it in particular that people are looking for when it comes to comedy? Because there's so many different styles, so many people do it different. What do you think people look for when it comes to comedy?
I think it's a little easier now. Obviously, with social media, you know, social media is that conduit where you can get people to see you, see your performance, or you can edit it down, and you can get a whole movement with social media when you put your content out there. So I think it's a little easier than it was back when I started, because even though social media was out, but it wasn't like the platform that it is today. So. Yeah, today I think it's more easier, but I do appreciate the newer comics that are in the game, that come through the game almost every other day, because it gives me inspiration to perform to a high level, and also I learn from the new comedians.
Okay.
You know, so it's an inspiration when I see new comedians go out there and they try to figure it out, and it's also a blessing to see new comedians, like, including yourself. You're not a new comedian, but just to
am new.
How long you been doing stand up?
I would say 2 years.
Oh yeah, you knew.
Yeah, I mean 8, but 2 where I've been kind of studied. So 2. Okay.
So take that back.
Okay. Yeah, I'm a newbie.
But the blessing about it is the fact that people, when I came into the game, and it took me a while to become funny. It didn't happen overnight.
Right.
And for 90% of us comedians, it doesn't happen overnight. You have a 1% of, yes, funny, and they go on and be, you know, great stand-ups. But the bunch of us, we have to develop into, develop the funny.
Right.
Now, when I see comedians like you and others go from just starting off with nothing, because you can see it. You can see it. And then blossom into something funny and someone funny and someone with a point of view that's relevant. It gives me joy in my heart to see. Because you see a lot of comedians, they do stand up, and then it doesn't work out for them. You never see them again, or they come around the game.
Yeah.
And then you see others that are determined to become funny, and I draw inspiration from comedians like that. Even though I'm a working comedian, but I'm always keeping my eye on that new comedian.
Now, let me ask you this: how do you stay with a stain, like a name? Like how I basically connected to you because I've seen you in the game, and I like the way you do comedy and how you brace the crowd and just keep the crowd entertained. Yeah. But how do people connect with keeping an audience to where as though if they see them on a flyer, like if I be like, oh, Shawn Harvey there, I want to go see him, I like him. How do you think you keep a following base that they come out to physically see you? How do you get that? How do you grow that? Is it certain stages you have to go on? Is it the amount of years you have to be in it? Is it you can just be that funny and people just want to follow you and come see you? How do you keep an audience base to come out to see you when they know you're doing comedy?
Well, you answered the question with the first couple of words you said. It's the funny first. Mm-hmm. You got to be funny. It's no other way. You can mask it. You can disguise it. You could perpetrate a fraud with it. But you have to be funny. It has to be something that resonates in the audience that they will never forget you. And that usually is the funny. Mm-hmm. Now after the funny, if you're blessed to you might have a joke that might resonate with the audience member, mm-hmm. where they will remember it. Well, and that allows them to remember you. Mm-hmm. That's definitely one of the reasons why people will gravitate towards you. Also, I'll be honest with you, just being a good person, being receptive towards the audience, it draws people to you, that calibrates you to another level, mm-hmm. where people start following you. Because you could be funny as hell, but you could be a a-hole, mm-hmm. off the stage, and nobody's gonna mess with you. Mm. So it's definitely some contributing factors to keeping an organic following. Mm-hmm. The type of person you are. People feel that energy.
Right.
And I think that's how you keep people following you, keep people interested. Mm-hmm. And then when you see them, you might want to switch up the joke every once in a while, or sometimes you meet people at other events, mm-hmm. and it's just special. So I just think that those are the two contributing factors: being funny and being that receptive type of a person, a loving type of person. I mean, that's who I am.
Right.
You know what I mean? Some people don't not like that.
Right.
Some comedians don't have a sense of humor. Some comedians are funny as hell on stage, but you can't talk to them when you get off stage.
Right, I've realized
so you have a lot of that.
Wow.
But I mean, this was work for me. I'm a people person.
Right.
I love being around people. I come into a comedy club or a lounge or a bar. If it's one person there or if it's thousands of people, I'm excited to be there.
Right.
And I'm going to give it my all.
And that's the energy I've gotten from you every time I've seen you, that you just had this great personality. You could see your smiles from when you come in the door to you leave out the door, to how you communicating with people, talking to people. You're still smiling with people. You still make people feel that you have that great energy on or off the stage. And that's how I feel like I connected to you, because I love people that have such great energy, and I feel like people like you I can learn from. I've just watched your different skills. And now, how do you feel about people always having because I realize that some comedy shows, everybody is not about music. Everybody is not about vibes. Some people could just walk to a mic and just talk. Do you think it's a bad thing to come in with energy and vibes? Because I feel like us women, for some reason, some of us, we love that vibe, that energy to bring to it. Yeah. And I've heard people in comments where they say, oh, we don't like to see people that's dancing, that like to do this and like to do that a lot. Do you think that's a bad thing as far as expressing comedy?
Well, no, not at all. It's comedy. It's subjective.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Some people might not want to see a comedian come on stage to a particular song, or some comedians don't have music, mm-hmm. and that's fine.
Right.
I mean, for me, it goes either way. I could go with music or without music, because mm-hmm. it's stand-up comedy at the end of the day.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're standing up there on all 10 of your toes and you're telling jokes. Mm-hmm. Sometimes the intro could be more dramatic from one comedian than the next.
Right.
But it's still, the primary purpose is to make the audience laugh. And to go back to what you were saying about being around the surrounding areas and around folks, it comes from my past. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Because I have a story to tell, and that's one of That's one of the ways I articulate my funny, because when I get on stage, I tell the truth about what's going on with me.
Right.
I also do observational comedy as well, but I get on stage and I share, and it's like an onion. You peel the onion and then you get to the core. That's who I am as far as stand up. I tell the truth about what I'm going through, and it identifies with someone in the audience, because sometimes you feel like things that you want to share is kind of shameful. You don't want nobody to know about it.
Right.
I do.
Right.
But I put it in a funny way.
Right. Right.
So that comedy has been therapy for me throughout the years.
Right.
You know what I mean? So but some comedians are not like that. Some comedians are straight joke tellers.
Right.
Some comedians I've known for years, I don't know who they are. I don't know who they are personally.
Oh, okay.
Because they tell the jokes, you know, if the cat was in the hat, kind of a joke, blah, blah, blah. And you don't know who that person is, which is fine.
Right.
I'm the type of comedian, I'm going to tell you what's going on.
Yeah.
I have no filter with it.
Right.
And I'm going to make it funny, and then we're going to laugh about it.
And I think that's what make it funny, turning your own personal life into things that could have been devastated or just kind of looked at in a different way, but bringing a humor to it. Because with the crowd, I feel like some of everybody have experienced something. So even if it wasn't them, it's a family member. They kind of know how to just get the sense of humor.
Hold on, Mr. I mean to stop. Hold on. I dropped my Viagra. Hold on a second.
Oh, my God.
I dropped my Viagra in this porn couch. I'm sorry. I just found some quarters. Look, I just found quarters.
You got to be careful when you interview certain
Okay, there you
comedians.
go. I got some money.
Oh, my gosh. Not your...
Okay, I got some money and I got my Viagra.
So you got oil and Viagra.
Yeah, that's for my wife.
Oh, God.
Yeah, hold on,
hope
let me
she's not
text her and
watching
make sure.
this.
Let me text her. Honey, I'm on my way home.
She should be scared of you, especially on this hot Wednesday. You better have the $12,000. $12,000. Yeah, and your
God has blessed me. He's definitely comfortable in my house. You know what I'm saying? And that's another thing with stand up. You got to make some money, especially if you're in a relationship, because a lot of comedians struggle with relationships and stand up, because if you're not making money, and I don't care what type of profession you're in, if you're not making money, ain't nothing going on with the rent.
Yeah.
I love my wife.
Yeah.
No question about it. That's my heart. That's my soul. We life mates. You know what I'm saying? But the bills still gotta get paid.
Gotta get paid.
You know what I'm saying?
Now, do you do comedy full time?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
But I do also have some side businesses
Okay.
that I acquired doing stand up,
Okay.
because that's another way to generate income with stand up.
I tell you one thing, those sprays you have,
Thank you.
they are amazing.
Thank you so
I
much.
have the one that's called linen something.
Yeah, exotic linen.
Oh, that's it. Oh,
Right.
that is a beautiful smell. What
Thank
made
you.
you come up with those products to sell?
I actually sprayed it on my dog. He loves it.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'm into scents.
No sense. Not your
I
dog.
told my dog, open your mouth.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm
Not
into
your dog.
scents. I mean, we want to talk about that real quick. I'm into scents. I love them. I love fragrances. I'm one of those guys. Like, I do
Okay.
love fragrances. And when this particular venture came and dropped on my lap, I took total advantage of it. And I
Okay.
put, my whole might into it and my finances into it. And people are vibing off of my product. So
it's definitely a great idea.
yeah, thank you so much.
Definitely.
So I have a few of those businesses that generate income as well.
Okay.
Via stand-up comedy. Because
Okay.
sometimes with comedy, there's levels of success with comedy.
Right.
We do have our A-lister comedians, no
Right.
question about it. And I pay much respect and much homage to them. But there's other levels of success. There's other, there's other comedians that are out there that are not nationally known,
Right.
like myself, that thrive with stand-up comedy.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's comedians that work cruise ships, like my man Aldo. Like, that's a level of success. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So just because a comedian's not a household name, don't get it twisted.
Right.
Comedians are out here very vibrant.
Right.
They're working. They love their jobs.
Right.
And it's a hard job.
Yeah.
It's not. You gotta be built for this.
Yeah. I'm sure.
It really is really, and you got to go through the ups and downs with stand-up comedy, but you have to be in a certain place. You have to be funny, but it's a working relationship.
Now, where's the scouts? Like, the only person who I still see that kind of scouts out people who I just told him that recently is Bob Sumter. Like, is there any other scouts, or like, how do you also get to, you know, get get booked, you know, like, or people like, yo, I want to work with you, or I want you to come back to this club, and you know, are there any more scouts that?
Well, that's funny you say. Well, first of all, I want to shout out your co-worker here in the booth, the guy that's running this whole
What is
situation.
he doing? I keep seeing you.
He's over there. He's showing me a bottle of baby oil.
Please don't show him no oil. I need him for a half an hour.
You know, you speak of Bob Sumner, who is a legend in the game.
Yes.
Obviously, Bob Sumner is a trailblazer in the comedy game, and almost to me like a unique individual as far as the history of all the comedians he's put on. And also shout out, you know, he's from Jersey.
Okay.
So shout out, you mentioned Bob, so shout out to Bob Sumner.
Yeah.
You know, much love and respect in the game,
Definitely.
and I got much love for Bob. Scouts. That's a funny word you use. I feel like I'm playing baseball. Oh, speaking of baseball, let me get on DraftKings real quick. I forgot to put my bets in. Hold on.
Oh my God.
This interview done messed up my money tonight. Scouts. I think the times that we live in today with scouting, I think the scouting respectable to Bob Sumner, I think the scouting is more the times that we live in today in social media. I think social media is the scout. I think
Okay.
that's the landscape.
Okay.
You're funny, speaks volumes on stage, and people, if you're funny, people will hear about you, seek and search you. If you on stage, they will find you, you will find people. So I think that the personal comedian is actually his own scout.
Okay.
If you want to put it in that terminology.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you got to go out there and sort of be your own manager until you get to that certain level. And that's what I was about to say. The comedy circuit, you gotta be able to work well with others. You know,
Right.
remember back in the day in the job application, do you work well with
Yeah.
others? You gotta work well with others so you can get the work.
Right.
There's some comedians that throughout my years I don't talk to. We don't have no relationship with each other, but we could work with each other. And then you have comedians that you do have relationships with.
Right.
So the comedian hires you most of the time. And when they hire you, the promoter sees you. And the promoter goes, wow, that guy was funny, right? And the comedian hired him. Then the comedian will tell another promoter, and then a promoter might tell somebody else, and another comedian would say something, and then you on stage, you rocking, and then all of a sudden, all of the dots will start to connect, and then your phone will start ringing. And sometimes you don't, for comedians, you don't have to wait for the phone to ring, comedians. You know, you could pick up the phone too. Pick up the phone. Yeah, listen, you got something this day, something that day. It's nothing wrong with that, because a lot of comedians' egos get in the way. They, you know, I'm not gonna make no phone calls because I'm not that guy. Yeah, you could. It's a job. Make phone calls. You create your work. What they say, closed mouths don't get fed.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and then you do have comedians that work in comedy clubs. That's what they do. They work the comedy clubs all year. So that's another level of stand-up comedy. You know, there's certain times of the year that I work the stand-up clubs, but mostly I'm doing lounges and other comedy conducive venues to keep me busy as well. Yeah.
Now let's talk about your experience that you had with Marlon Wayans and Bill Bellamy. Let's talk about that.
Oh, the rock stars?
What was that about? How
Well,
did that come upon?
okay, well, you know, again, it goes back to comedians that you work with. See, it's still the same formula.
Okay.
It's still the same. It's just different levels.
Okay.
So, in any level of stand-up comedy, whether it's urban comedy, mainstream comedy, whatever kind of comedy it is, people know each other.
Okay.
So you perform for one particular comedian.
Okay.
Right? And you have a working relationship with that comedian, and then maybe that comedian brings a Bill Bellamy to the show.
Okay.
And go, you know what? I want you to work with Bill. And that's kind of how that happened.
Okay.
I worked with Damon Wayans in South Fuego in the Bronx, New York.
Okay.
And then we started working together.
Okay.
And we did a show together, and I appreciate them as well. And it's gratifying that the A-listers will allow you to perform, because there's some A-list comedians that won't have comedians like me or others that I run with on their show.
Now, can you tell me what's an A-list comedian?
A-listers are what they are. Damon Wayans.
Okay.
Bill Bellamy.
Okay.
Mike Epps.
Okay.
And I want to say one thing about Mike Epps real quick. I worked with Mike several times because Smokey Suarez put me on the show.
Nice.
And Smokey Suarez is a hilarious comedian, as you know.
Yes.
And then me and Smoke work together. It's like a 1-2 punch.
Right.
And you have a comedian like Mike Epps who will allow that, put all that smoke in front of him, and then he performs and he rips. Because a lot of these A-lister comedians, they don't like a lot of funny comedians on their show.
You think it takes something away from
Yes,
them?
of course. So some of them, they don't want certain kind of comedians on the show.
But I hear
They
that.
don't want hilarious comedians.
But I
some
hear
of them.
that about that in general, period. About that kind of goes around in a circle, too.
See, I want to address that real quick.
I'm not sure, but I've heard that.
Let me address that real quick before. Hold on, wait a minute. She called me. She texted me. Okay, the dog got the baby oil. We're ready. Okay.
Tell her you got 20 minutes. 20 minutes, and you'll be there. Well, you won't be there in 20 minutes, but you got 20 more minutes here.
You know, you bring up an interesting point, and it trickles down to all levels of comedy. There's some comedians who don't want other comedians to go on before them. Or you got comedians that's worrying about, where I'm in the lineup, who's first, who's second. If you funny, you funny. Like I said before, comedy is subjective. Some people like you, some people gonna love your comedy. They might not like the other guy, and the other guy's hilarious.
Right.
But a lot of comedians, they want to jockey, put themselves in positions so they can shine. Me, I'm up for the challenge.
Yeah.
Me, if you, all of y'all, go ahead, go up. And if I'm the last one, then it's what it is. Because sometimes that will derail you from being funny when you're worrying about all the other comedians before you. It's actually a good thing that you perform in front of comedians that are funny or funnier than you, because it keeps you focused. Now you can see what your jokes are all about.
Right.
And you stay competitive. And you get funnier. You don't want to be on stage in front of a bunch of comedians, no disrespect, that are not that funny. Because where's the challenge?
Right.
There's no challenge. And then what happens is you jockey yourself in position.
That makes good sense.
You jockey yourself in position to be that shining star on the show. You got a bunch of newer comedians. I say that respectively.
I'm
And
okay
then
with
you're in that comfort zone.
Right.
And then here's what happens. Then you get on the show, ain't nothing you can do about it. Because the comedians before you are legitimate, funny comedians. And now you can't circle around and go, you know what, let me go up. I gotta go. I got another show to go to. That's a lot of comedians do that. When they see a lot of, I gotta get out of here. You ain't going nowhere. So.
Now, do you think that New York is more of the place where you could kind of get your spotlight at doing shows over there? Do you think New York is the spot? Because I did a place in New York. I can't remember where I've done.
Hold on, wait a minute. My orthopedic's calling.
Oh, my God.
Okay, yeah. I got my arthritis medication.
Shout out to all the Facebook viewers.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay.
Please forgive me about
there you go.
What's going on with Shawn today.
I got my
his oil and everything else. He got to
get my shots in my knees. Okay, go ahead, continue on.
Now he needs a knee shot.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because now one of my favorite spots is I love comedy in Harlem.
Yes.
I feel like it's always a great crowd. The DJ is always point. Shout out to the DJ at Comedy in Harlem. Shout out to Nikki and her husband Jamie. Also, too, they are great people to work with. I feel like they are so down with, allowing people to come and show their talent. I just love everything about comedy in Harlem. But I did do a comedy show in New York. I can't remember the spot. Um, it was I think it was like a Caribbean kind of place or something. And I started off good, but it was like the crowd was very hard. Smokey also used to host this room.
Yeah.
Um, and I heard that was a very hard room. That was like my early on too though.
Yeah.
And to me, I feel like now I'm growing more in it, but I also never knew the difference from larger stages where I've learned with doing a larger stage that you have to stay in your jokes a little longer. Your timing on stage is a little longer. I was so used to doing intimate settings to where it's go
Yeah.
but I've learned now with doing different stages where you gotta kind of stand in it. And when I see comedians like you guys, I'm like, they know how to stand in it. It don't matter what stage it is,
Yeah.
how much time they gotta do, what kind of crowd in it.
Yeah.
It just look like you guys know how to. It doesn't even matter if nobody laughing, if everybody is laughing. The way you guys know how to stand in it, I'm like, that's because you guys been doing it for so long. I don't even think it bothers you. Do it because it's like y'all are so forceful with what you know what you coming to do. It's like, you know.
Well, that's funny. It does bother you. It does. We do have feelings.
Okay.
See, the thing with that is the matter is that, to go back to your question, yeah, New York is that beast of comedy. Mm-hmm. Like, New York is the epicenter of comedy. Mm-hmm. If you want to get funny, yeah, New York, I think, is the place to be to get funny. That's why a lot of comedians from all over the country, they don't like coming over here. You know, some of them do. There's a small percentage of the out of town comedians that will come to New York, because New York is a whole different animal. We don't care.
Yeah, I heard.
You want to be funny, that's it. You got to set yourself on fire in New York.
I heard. I see.
So a lot of times when, just like what you just said, when you're in a safe environment with stand-up comedy, meaning, you know, nice little lounge, just your friends around, and you could get your jokes off, and you know, you don't have that pressure. Mm-hmm. New York is different. There's certain rooms in New York City that you're gonna feel that pressure. But the saving grace with it, and the thing that's gratifying about it, if you keep doing it, like anything else, you get better at it. I used to do a room back in the day. Norm Ill used to host it. May he rest in peace, in Harlem. It was on Wednesday night, and all the fly cats from Harlem was there. All the ballers and the players were in there, and all the ladies were in the building. And I was a New Jack comedian. And it was the place to be on a Wednesday night. And I used to go on Wednesdays and bomb every Wednesday. Me and Omar Thomas. We used to bomb. You know Omar Thomas?
Yeah, I know Omar.
We started together.
Okay.
Me, him, Stanley Dubois, and a few others. We started the comedy at the same time.
Okay.
And we would go up in there, me and Omar, and we would bomb in front of all the players, and they got the champagne popping, and I would go up there, and it just nothing resonated to the audience. But I was determined, and so was Omar, and we would just keep coming every Wednesday. It was a Wednesday night room. It was right on 145th and St. Nick's. As a matter of fact, down the block from Comedy in Harlem. And shout out to Comedy in Harlem, of course. I love Nikki Sunshine and Jamie Roberts. Those are my people. I actually celebrate my birthday there every year.
Okay.
And we would go to this room every Wednesday. And Norm Ill, may he rest in peace, would put us on stage every Wednesday. After we bombed, he would snap on us and joke. We were like the butt of the jokes. But and this was a tough room. It was tough for us. Now, the comedians that I looked up to, like John Lasseter, Smokey Suarez, and all these guys, they would come in that room like you talked about and just rip the room.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did they do that?
Yeah.
And we would come every week. And guess what happened? We didn't get funny yet, but they started liking us.
Okay, as people.
As people, they started like, they go, Shawn again, oh my God, hurry up, Shawn. Like, they would do that, and then all of a sudden, I said a joke, and they laughed for the first time, and they laughed for Omar and all that, and it's just, sometimes it's persistence. Like, if you determine, I don't care what you try to do in life, if you determine to do it, you keep doing it, you get better at it, even in those hard rooms. And even me, I go into those rooms sometimes, I go, oh my God.
Yeah.
I should be in the bed.
But when
What am
you
I
do
even doing
those
here?
hard rooms, let's just say, and you happen to not be the greatest, do they call you back, or do somebody have to keep saying like, nah, she really is a good person, I mean, she's funny, or do they understand that sometimes a room could be hard? How do you feel about as far as open mic night versus when you go to a show and somebody give you a spot? What is it called when
A
they
guest spot.
a guest spot? Is that like the same thing, you feel like an open mic and a guest spot?
Uh,
Because it's like, if,
open mic. No, open mics I think are different from guest spots.
yeah, I guess when
Open
you
mics
think
are
about
just,
it.
you know what it is. Everybody do their 5 minutes on stage and the jokes. And usually there's a bunch of other comedians.
But see, I'm
there.
looking at it because a guest
it's
spot
a-
too. That's how they consider it too.
Yeah, but
sometimes.
a guest spot is a little different because now you on shows that the paid acts are on.
Okay.
And that people are paying to see the show.
Okay.
Most open mics is usually something free.
Okay.
Okay. It's
So
not
guest
a lot of
spots
pressure.
are always at shows that people are pretty much getting paid to do.
Yeah, guest
Okay.
spots are like, hey, a comedian walks into a room, hey, can I get a few minutes? An open mic is where's the list, so I can sign my name on the list, and I go up 7.
Now, what if they don't know you and you try to go to a place and ask for a guest spot?
You're not gonna get a guest spot. You got to go to the open mic. But the one thing about urban comedy that I love, comparison to mainstream comedy, no disrespect to the mainstreamers, with urban comedy, we're very liberal when it comes down to that, to a certain extent. So we will allow a new comedian to go up.
Okay.
Yo, let me get 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
And the next thing you know, the comedian's like, are you serious? For real? Yeah, go ahead, go up there.
Uh-huh.
Kill yourself or whatever you want to do. Comparison
Not
to
kill
the
yourself.
mainstream where you gotta do a comedy class, you gotta stand online for 5 years. Urban is a little different. We'll let you rock.
Okay.
So yeah, open mic, you sign a list. Guest spots is for, I think, when you're on a show and they allow you to do a guest spot.
Now, do you feel like being seen more in person with doing comedy versus being online is much, much better, where people could really get the full you as a comedian? Because let's just say people are heard about online or seen on flyers, and then when they get in person, they're not as seen. Because do you feel like people get booked a lot or on flyers even if they're not to the extreme of funny? Because I feel like sometimes too, with just doing certain events and people are looking for a certain entertainment, can that be a reason too why sometimes you can be on a flyer? Because I mean, they heard about you, but they don't really know about you. Like, do you think that if you a known person and they like, okay, I know Shawn, or I heard of Shawn, let me put him on a flyer, and then you get to the place and you're not funny, do people get acknowledgement like that, or you have to be funny to be on flyers?
Well, no, you don't. Well, you don't have to be funny to be on the flyer. No question about it. You can make your own flyer.
I'm so done with Shawn. Now you can make your own.
You can make your own flyer and go, listen, man, the show was here, and you could take a flyer of another show and put your face on the flyer and say you on the show.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you have to be funny.
Okay.
Okay, that's the bottom line for you to achieve all this, getting on flyers and getting booked on shows. I think the short answer to that is you have to be funny. Okay. That you will be respected in the game. The game will reward you.
Okay.
The more you put into it, the more you'll get out of it. Okay. That's with everything in life.
So you basically have to go out here. Let's say if you go out here weekly and try to get into some of these clubs or try to get a place on the stage, and they don't know you, and you don't never get a chance to get up there, because it seemed like a lot of comedy is by referrals.
Yeah, well, that's what it is. But that's why you got to be out every night. You can overcome that, the lack of relationships and not know. That's easy to overcome. Okay. You just got to be on stage and network with everybody. You just got to be out there. That's part of stand-up. You can't do stand-up on the first of the month and then don't come back out on the 23rd.
Okay.
You
gotta
can
keep your face.
You can do that.
Okay.
I don't know where that's gonna get you.
Right.
But you gotta be out all the time, or talking to comedians, going to other shows, watching comedy.
Yeah.
It's a lifestyle.
Yeah, I love
and
to
then
go
and then what happens is then people will start reaching out to you.
Right.
You got to politic.
Right.
I mean, you really do.
Right.
The stage is a sanctuary for those few minutes of funny.
Right.
That's the stage.
Right.
But the whole work is off the stage.
Mm-hmm. And see, I love that, with me becoming a comic.
Hold on, are we getting porn studio vibes in here? Oh! Okay, cool.
I love that. Shout out to all the comedians who I have worked with who has put my name out there. Monique, Latisse, who's from Patterson. She's definitely on her grind. She's a dope comedian.
When Monique started comedy, she used to open up for me. I mean, she did some of that, but she used to host for me at a room that I used to do in the Poconos every Saturday night. Yeah. Which, by the way, is returning. I'm going to reach out to Monique and all y'all, returning at the end of the year. And she used to host my room when I wasn't there. And that was part of her comedy journey when she was new. Yeah.
And I remember you from coming to her when she opened up the comedy club.
Yeah.
And Patterson
that
as
was
well,
that was a great night. And for example, just Monique's a perfect example. She got out here, she kept grinding, she stayed out. Yeah. She got the relationships. She started off. Monique had no jokes when she started off. She started off interacting with the crowd, and I even pulled over. I said, if you want to do stand up, you got to tell the jokes. And she started telling jokes and staying out there and being persistent and being blessed. And that's what stand-up is.
Yeah, she's definitely on her grind.
Yeah. So that's what comedy is.
She's definitely grew a lot in comedy, from me watching her. Starting off. I love to see Monique do comedy. I love GL. Oh, yeah. I love Bill.
Yeah, Bill, yes.
I work with Sal. He's great.
Yes.
Q.
Well, you're naming a lot of these comedians who are from New Jersey.
Big Mama.
And let me tell you something. These crops of comedians that you've named in the New Jersey area is definitely holding New Jersey down.
Oh yeah, and what I love about all of them is all of them have gave me some type of game and has gotten me into certain rooms. Right. So I would definitely always respect them.
And you're not gonna believe that before those guys these great comedians that you named, Shatara Curry's one of them from Jersey.
Yep. She's
other than her, prior to these comedians coming to the game, there was no comedy in Jersey like that. We used to snap on Jersey comedians back in the day before they came into the game.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? And then now they have come into the game and they have grown, right? And they are definitely a force to be reckoned with.
Definitely.
So stand up to Jersey.
Yes.
The Jersey
Give us
comedians.
a round of applause for all the Jersey comics that's out there on their grind, bust through the doors and doing their thing.
Now, I'm a New York-based comedian, but I live in Pennsylvania, if that makes any sense. But I live in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So I live 2 hours away from Philadelphia. Okay. So I don't run in that circuit. Okay. I've always ran in the New York circuit.
But we've learned to love you. Jersey loves Shawn Harvey.
Of course, I love Jersey.
Top New York, top PA guy.
Yeah.
I think you're one of our faves in Jersey.
Thank you.
Definitely.
I appreciate that.
Because I've seen you do work also too with most of all of them. So and I've seen them always, gave you your respect when they seen you in rooms. Yes. And, so Jersey, we love you.
Yeah, all those comedians that you mentioned, I definitely have so much love for them as well. And then doing stand up, you have to diversify your stand up. You have to be able to do clean shows, adult shows. You have to be put in an environment where you can do all type of stand-up. Now, some comedians, they don't. Some comedians just have language. They're not going to do clean shows. They're not going to do church shows. I've learned way back in my career to have the language where I can do any show. Okay. So one night you could see me cursing up a storm, at a comedy club or at a bar, whatever, and the next day I'm in a church, and you like, is that Shawn from last night? So
That's good too.
you have to know how to switch up your comedy.
I love that. And also, shout out to Hamburger. Hamburger has also booked me.
Oh, yeah.
I've worked with him before.
Yeah.
Bob has booked me before.
Hamburger. Oh,
Yeah,
man,
Hamburger is definitely
He's
great
the
to
legend.
work with.
He's the legend, New Jersey legend. There was only just a few comedians from Jersey.
I got to get him up here, too.
Hamburger is so funny. I love that guy.
You know another comedian that I like that's a female? We got to wrap it up. Takara.
That's what I just mentioned.
I thought you said Shakara, because isn't it another comedian, female named Shakara too? Shakara. She's good too
where's she
with
from?
comedy. I don't know.
What's she looking?
Tall, light-skinned, short haircut, very pretty.
Oh yeah.
Shatara.
Shatara Williams.
Shatara.
She's from the Bronx, New York, and
Oh,
I remember
okay.
when she started stand-up.
She's dope too.
Yeah, I remember when she started stand-up.
She's dope.
I'm happy for her as well.
I follow Takara too. I love her comedy too.
And that's the one good thing about this is the fact that the love is shown publicly to all these comedians, and that's what it's about as well. You know what I mean? Just acknowledging your peers and the comedians that I work with, even the ones I don't like or the ones I love. I'm always supportive.
Yeah. Kelly Kells, I follow
Kelly,
her.
yeah,
Niche
Kelly.
Niche.
Yes.
You know, Corey B.
Yes.
Yeah, I like to follow all of these women to learn from them. I think they're all amazing. I love my Jersey comics, the male, the female. I love how they out there grinding, you know, putting that work in. They don't know how much they, you know, encourage me. I love watching them and just seeing them, you know, do the thing, and I'm following behind them.
The women are definitely a force in the game.
Yeah.
You know, especially over these last 5 years.
Natasha
the women,
Face.
Yeah, Natasha, God bless her. Yeah, I love her to death. The women are definitely been a force in the game, and also I draw inspiration from the women in the game. Stand up. You know what I mean? So I'm just truly blessed to be.
Do you think the females taking over now?
The females have always have always taken over the game.
Because it seemed like it always been about male comics for a long time, but now I see a lot of females pulling up.
No, I think that the ladies have definitely been a force for years.
Okay.
It's just coming out now. Everyone's seeing it.
Okay.
I think that the women I draw inspiration from the women in stand up, and I just think that the women are out there just really focused on their funny, they're relevant, they have a point of view.
Stiletto,
and it's just great for the game overall that the men and the women. I don't know about the taking over part, but I do know that I am blessed to have so many funny co-workers that are women that are in the game that I work with.
And shout out to my girl Michelle Cookie Benson, that's from Jersey too.
Oh,
She's
yeah,
a
Michelle.
stand-up comic.
Seen her in a long time.
She moved to Atlanta.
Yeah, I know
that's
Michelle.
That's my girl too. Shout out to Shell.
Hey, Michelle, it's your boy. What's going on?
Well, before we end this podcast, I have a gift for your wife. Shady and Classy. I know you was looking for something for you, but because I'm so for girl power, I decided to get a t-shirt for your wife. So make sure she receives it. I don't know if she's going to put the oil on her legs or whatever she want to do with it.
Well,
but just make sure she get her t-shirt.
When I get home, we're going to take a picture and I'm going to put it on your on your board.
It says Shady and Classy.
Oh, I love it.
Yes. And I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for coming on the Shady Talk Wednesday podcast. But before we go, I want you to tell everybody where they can follow you at so they can come out to make sure that they support you from Jersey to New York to PA to Connecticut to wherever you're at. Right. This is a hilarious comedian, and I feel that he's amazing for every crowd. Also, he was just at my Mother's Day comedy show this year too. So those who was there at my pre-Mother's Day comedy show Everybody has such good things to say about you.
Thank you.
Bill. I mean, they enjoyed y'all. When I said I was doing another show, they was like, please bring them back.
Oh, wow.
Please bring them back.
Well, let your folks know, just truly blessings, and I'll just appreciate them all. All right, well, Shawn Harvey on social media, comedian Shawn Harvey on Facebook, Shawn Harvey on Facebook as well. That's SHAWN, Harvey, Funny on Instagram. I have my morning show, the Shawn Harvey Morning Show, featuring the Wake Up Team. Matter of fact, if you're available tomorrow, I would love for you to be a guest on the show. That's on Facebook, and that's on YouTube, and it's on Instagram. So that's the Shawn Harvey Morning Show. That's Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m.
Oh, okay, so you do it 3 times a week.
Yeah,
nice.
when you get your morning started out. Shout out to all my Shawn Harvey Morning Show featuring Wake Up Team family. You already know. That's right. Bronx, New York, we here. Bethlehem, PA, we here. I don't know, Garfield, wherever the hell I'm at right now, we here.
Thank you so much, Shawn Harvey, for coming on the Shady Talk Wednesday podcast. I appreciate you, and much, much love, much, much success.
Hold on, wait a minute. I dropped my cocaine. Hold on, I dropped my cocaine.
Not his cocaine.
Okay, say that again.
You'll get locked up in Garfield for cocaine. You better not get pulled over with it. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Shady Talk Wednesday. On my Facebook and my YouTube followers, thank you so much for tuning in with us. We love you. Good night.